All right, I'd like to welcome everybody out to our workshop this morning. We have two wonderful presenters today. Robin Newell, who is the director of Emporia Public Library. I always want to say Emporia State, Robin. I don't know why. It's like that's what rolls off the tongue, right? And Maggie Pinnick from Mulvane Public Library. And I have seen both of these stellar colleagues of mine present, and they are great presenters, and that is why I have them here today with us. So, all right, we'll begin with Robin, and then after Robin, we'll hear from Maggie. If you have any questions, please just pop them into the chat. And if it's something that I think needs to be addressed at the moment, I'll kind of interrupt if that's okay. If not, we'll save them to the end so that you can answer those questions. So, all right, and if you could, please keep your microphones on mute while the presenter is speaking. All right, Robin.
So George, are you going to watch the chat then for us?
I will.
All right, thank you. And I will try to figure out how to share my screen here. So George asked me to talk a little bit about community partnerships and working in the community and collaboration, and it's something that I really like to do. It's kind of funny because when George asked me this, it's like this was my master's paper, which was know your community or be in your community. So for me, this is like going back several years and thinking about what it was like back in 2008, 2009, when I graduated with my master's, and how different our communities are now. So the first thing I want to talk about is what's a community? And communities change. So communities can be a group of people that live together in the same place. And I put a question mark after living because they don't necessarily have to live in the same place. They can be separated. They can be in different states, especially now. And again, that was the biggest change from 10, 15 years ago is our communities are based now, not necessarily around geography, but that feeling of fellowship with others, and something that we really share a common attitude and an interest and goals. And a lot of that, again, came about with the increase in the use of computers and internet, and then Facebook. And Mark Zuckerberg is the CEO of Facebook, and he said that communities already exist everywhere. But it's our job or something for us to do to think about how we can help that community that already exists do what it wants to do. And I think that that's a difference that sometimes we forget about. We think about, oh, here's the library, this is what the library wants to do. But to have a strong library in a strong community, those two need to be joined together. And so it's best for the community and for the library if the library can help the community do what it wants to do. So in order to do that, you start with an environmental scan. You got your eyes on the community. You're watching everything. You're reading the newspaper. You're listening to the radio. You are watching. You're looking all the time. When I say environmental scan, that's exactly what I mean. You're scanning the horizon all the time. But it's not just looking. You have to really embed yourself in the community, and not just yourself, but your library staff. So you want to be thinking about where can you be in the community? Where could the library fit in the community, and how could the library help whatever that place is to do their job better? And it's not enough just to look and to identify where to be embedded and to come and sit at the table. But it's also very important to be active in the community. So it's great to join a committee and go to those meetings and sit there, but it's even more important for a librarian and library staff to be actively participating, which means they're grilling hot dogs, they're doing things. So looking is great. Being at the table, being present is wonderful, but being actually on your feet, active in the community is part of that collaborative model that we've seen over and over again. Not only improves the library, but improves the community as well. And then always curious, always asking questions, always thinking about how is this working? What can I do? What could you do? How can we make this better? What's next? So always curious and always thinking about that connection and that collaboration and how partnerships really make a difference. So where to start? As I said, it's nice to look and embed and be active. But when you're looking as far as where to start, some of the easiest places to start with collaborations are with your Chamber of Commerce. If you don't belong to your Chamber of Commerce, you should belong to your Chamber of Commerce. It will give you an immediate connection to the businesses in that community. You will get their information. You'll get the Chamber of Commerce newsletters. There's an opportunity for you to be on the Chamber of Commerce board. But that's an opportunity for you to give back as those businesses give to you, because with our summer reading program, many of our businesses provide our coupons, they provide our prizes. They really want literacy to be seen as a strong thing in the Emporia community. So they're willing to help us really develop our summer reading program. So the Chamber of Commerce is an awesome way to connect with businesses. We have a Main Street here in Emporia, and I don't know if you have those in your communities or not, but we do have, it's just Main Street, and our library happens to be downtown and within that Main Street district. So we also belong to Emporia Main Street, and we have somebody that goes to all of those meetings, and we've got some great collaborations that are coming out of just somebody starting to go to the meetings and having the conversations. And again, the first couple of meetings, somebody is like, why is the library here? What's the library have to do with Main Street and activities and functions? And as we've started to educate that group of people about that, we're not just a box of books or a building of books, but that we actually have outreach services and tremendous online resources. It's been a growing experience. So we are really starting to reap the benefits of about 2 years worth of involvement. This doesn't happen necessarily overnight. Sometimes it takes quite a while, but we're starting to see those partnerships happening and them actually saying, hey, the library could do this part of it. So that's been an exciting change to see it in Emporia. Also attend all your city council commission, your county council commissions, whatever they're called. It's a good idea to be able to attend those if you can. I know that time is limited and you have to make some choices there. But if you can't attend every month, attend every other month, attend once a quarter. Just putting your face in front of the city commissioners or the county commissioners can make a difference. It's because of that visual cue that the library is here. And if you can go when you're not asking for money, again, you're just coming and being present, and they're seeing that the library is present in the community. We also work with our community foundation. We have our gift and memorial money is in our community foundation. So we know at the community foundation, we know the accounts that have grant possibilities there. And we work with our community foundation director when it comes to needs that the library may have, that we know that we can go to her and say, hey, we've got this project, and it's for an example, it's a $50,000 electronic sign project. Is there a funding entity within the community foundation that would be able to help us with that sign project? And then, of course, the media. When I say media, I'm not talking social media. I'm talking your community's media. You should know the person at the newspaper, if you have a radio station, but you should really develop that relationship between the newspaper and the library, because we get tons of free press. We get tons of free advertising, just doing stories on word of mouth. And I will tell you, everybody that reads the newspaper loves to see those pictures of little children reading or little children doing art. It's just good for their soul. So again, we'll talk about social media in just a few minutes, but media is extremely important as far as building those collaborations. Because again, if you get your picture in the paper on a literacy project, and somebody else is looking at that picture, that's letting them think about, well, how, maybe I would like to donate money. Maybe I would like to help with that project. So the more promotion you can do for your library, the stronger your community connections will be. Service organizations are your friends. I am a huge believer in the library director being involved in a service organization in their community. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it takes time. But when you think about what you can do to develop relationships and develop yourself, and be plugged into someplace in the community, service organizations are wonderful opportunities for libraries, and not just for funding, but for you to show the humanness of the library, and that we're not just, again, that building full of books that we circulate, but that we have people that care. We have people that have resources that can help with resumes, that can help with job searches, that can help with health information, Medline Plus and PubMed. We are there for the community to interact with. So again, service organizations, and just pick one. And some of it depends on your community, but all of them serve. It's kind of ironic in a way, but when you go down and you look at all of these Rotary, Lions, Sertoma, Kiwanis, Altruza, Optimus, they all are service oriented, and you just have to pick which one resonates with your personality, and which one you would like to belong to. And you know what? You don't have to belong forever. If you belong to Lions for a couple of years and say, you know what, I think I'd like to try Kiwanis, there's not any reason why you can't swap clubs and try another service club. But again, those service clubs are wonderful opportunities for libraries to do projects. We just finished a Rotary project here in Emporia. It was our district grant project where we did a literacy project where we gave every preschooler in the entire Lyon County region, including all three of our school districts, our private schools. They all received every preschooler received a board book, because we really push literacy in this community. And the Rotary District Grant funded it, which was wonderful. So free books for children. It's a win-win for libraries, and it's a win-win for Rotarians. So again, pick a group. Those groups have money, they have funding, they have grant possibilities. So just think about what you can bring to the club, because it is a two-way street. It's a collaboration. So you want to think about what you can bring to the club, what skills you can bring, and then work with that club to strengthen not only the community but the library. Nonprofits, stronger together. Almost every community has nonprofits. I've listed some of ours here, and I want to talk about a couple of them very briefly. Nonprofits tend to be made up of individuals who are really caring about a certain segment of the population, or a certain subject matter that they feel really strongly about. And what is so great about libraries and librarians is we we like it all, and we like to be connected. And there are so many different ways that we can be connected, whether it's through programming or resources or just a book that might be helpful. Some of the way we work here in Emporia is through Healthier Lyon County, and that is a health and wellness interagency coalition. And their whole focus is on health and wellness. And it's not just physical health, and it's not just physical wellness, it's mental health, it's emotional health. So there's lots of different types of agencies that have come together with Healthier Lyon County. And we really feel like we're building a stronger community because of those, many hands make light work. And we at the library have worked with Healthier Lyon County. We received a $10,000 Blue Cross Blue Shield grant through Healthier Lyon County to provide health and wellness activities and supplies for our library staff, and only our library staff, which was very, very wonderful, because we received it during the year of COVID, and it really made a difference for our library staff. So again, think about not just outside the library, but we have this service need within our library with our library staff, and are we taking care of them? Are they feeling connected and supported? Mobilizing literacy is another one, and this is a group of individuals who are interested in literacy. They are schools, they are the preschools, they're the daycare providers. And the interesting thing about this is that the library was never included in Mobilizing Literacy Coalition meetings. So we heard about them. We thought this was really interesting. So our children's librarian and I decided we would just show up. And so we kind of showed up probably, 3 to 6 months. And they finally said, hey, you guys should be on the council. And we said, yay, we really want to be on the council. And we've been able to do some really strong programs with the Mobilizing Literacy group. Again, the school systems are great to be able to do anything we can with the school systems. Your cultural communities, we have Hispanics of Today and Tomorrow are hot here in Emporia. So look at your cultural organizations, depending on what they are, and work with them. Do programming with them. We also have Keep It a Simple Summer, and that's a huge community opportunity at the end of school to give bike helmets away, and this library is always there. We're always pushing summer reading program. We have the Lyon County Community Baby Shower, which is a nonprofit agency, a group that gets together and gives folding play pens away, and the library is there, and we are giving away free books. We are giving away free bags. We've got these little pacifier holders that have Emporia Public Library on them. So wherever we can be in that community to promote the library, we really want to be there. Emporia Zoo, we do programming with them. Our senior center, we work with United Way as far as Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and then our social media. And we push a lot of stuff out on social media. I can't say enough about this. I love the ability to schedule posts that happen regularly. So don't not include your Facebook postings in those. That was kind of local, but you also want to think, what can I do globally? Because like I said at the beginning of this, talk, is that, when I grew up in rural Nebraska in a town of 252 people, my community was pretty small. It was a farm family. We had animals. We didn't travel. We didn't have a lot of vacations. So my environment was a pretty limited environment. That's not the way it is anymore. We are living in a global world, and our boundaries are kind of limitless. So when you're looking for entities to work with, don't just look in your city, don't just look in your county, go global. Look everywhere. Your regional library systems are wonderful resources that can work with you, and they have grants. State library also has resources, CanLib, I can't tell you how many ideas I get off of CanLib. The listserv, it's good to be connected. I know some people hate listserv. It's just like one more email, but it depends on who you are and what you want to do and your personality. So just as many tendrils as you can get out into your community, whether it's locally, whether it's state or regional. Larger libraries are wonderful. I lurk on the Topeka site. I lurk on the Lawrence site. You know, I'm looking on their websites. I'm seeing what they're doing. I'm looking on their Facebook pages. So I look at the larger libraries because I know they have the money and the staff to be able to do way more stuff than I do. So sometimes I'll just scale it down and look at who they're collaborating with. And sometimes that's been an interesting information to find out that, hey, so Lawrence is partnering with this group in their community. And it makes me think, do we have that group? Is this a group that I don't even know about in our community? Kansas Library Association, again, grants and collaboration there and continuing education. Kansas Health Foundation in Wichita has been a wonderful partner here in Kansas. If you don't know about them yet, I would spend some time on their website and have a look at them and see what they're doing in the community. Kansas Leadership Center, again, provides the leadership training. We have a grant. The Kansas Library Association has a grant through the Kansas Leadership Center. We've got 45 people going through it this year. We're hoping for another year next year. So we're really excited about, again, that collaboration to develop leaders that will develop libraries that will help communities. Because the stronger our library is, that's going to help our community. American Library Association, Public Library Association, those are both good websites and good Facebook pages to poke around on. Mountain Plains Library Association, if you don't know, is a 12-state regional library association that has wonderful opportunities for networking. They have a chew and chat, which I think is tomorrow at 1 o'clock, where you can just bounce on and listen to people talk about what they're doing in their libraries. And again, that networking helps with building those coalitions. Association of Rural and Small Libraries has got a listserv on it that's very helpful. Association of Bookmobile and Outreach Services. While we don't have a bookmobile, we do want to provide outreach, and they have some really good ideas for outreach there. So again, just because you don't have a bookmobile doesn't mean that you can't think about what you could do on a smaller scale or how you could work with another agency. And then I'll plug the National Network of Libraries of Medicine. They have wonderful grant opportunities there for continuing education and providing medical, and they're the people that do the Medline Plus and PubMed, providing that medical resource that's online that seems to be increasingly important now that our doctor's appointments tend to be virtual video appointments that seem to be a little bit shorter than usual. Libraries can provide that extra help with health resources. So that's what I have to tell you today. It's basically what I said in the beginning. Look around, embed, and then be active and ask questions. You know, how can I help? What can I do? What are you doing? Just be curious and get those libraries out there and build those partnerships. It's a tremendous win-win situation. There are very few situations that I've come across in the last 20 years where I've wanted to partner, or we've wanted to partner, or somebody's wanted to partner with us that we've had a negative experience. So build those coalitions, build those partnerships, and watch your library and your community grow. Any questions?
Aren't any in the chat as of yet. Any questions?
All right.
All right. Well, there you go. Good job,
All right,
Robin.
thank you, George.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And Robin, would you be open to answering questions from folks if they have them later?
Yes, and I put my contact information on that last slide. Everybody's welcome to contact me at any time. I love to talk to other librarians, probably too much, but it's been a COVID year and there's been no conferences in person. And while I love the virtual thing, there's nothing like sitting around and visiting libraries with colleagues. So absolutely give me a call.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Maggie, I realized I didn't say what you do at Mulvane Public Library. You are the program coordinator, correct?
Yes, for adults and teens.
For adults and teens. So you have a handful there, huh? So and a lot of fun, I bet.
Oh yeah, always a lot of fun. Never know what's going to happen.
Excellent. Well, we'll turn the time over to you.
Awesome. Let's see. Screen share. All right. Oh, this isn't the screen I want. This is the screen I want. All right. So I'm going to be talking about cooking up community. Kind of the bigger things that I have been doing in the last year or so with the pause with COVID is kind of a cooking program that we started at our library. This program is for all ages, so I'll be talking about that, but I'll also be talking about ways that we have connected with our community with various people. So as a little introduction, my name's Maggie. I've been with the Mulvane Public Library since August of 2018. Before that, I worked as a teen librarian for about 2 years back in Indiana. I earned my MLS in 2019. Since moving to my current position, I've worked for a variety of projects where I've had to work with various members of our community, including cooking in the library, Battle of the Books, and a lot of mini events. I've also, in my career though, have worked for fundraising for our youth theater back in Indiana, and also working with other people for our summer reading program. And no, I did not develop any new or useful skills during the pandemic of 2020. I know a lot of people walked out and they're like, look, I can sew. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I watched Grey's Anatomy, all of it. So I didn't gain anything useful. And also, I do have a question slide at the end, but if you have a burning question you need to ask, feel free to interrupt me. That's not a big deal. I tend to talk fast, so I totally get it. So cooking in the community. In April, May 2019, I got a grant from Cargill to start our cooking program at our library. The grant covered the cost of 6 cooking stations, plus a few other tools like blenders and griddles. Through this program, we've made lots of different connections. I've met a lot of different restaurants and a lot of chefs at the restaurants. We've also just gotten to know our community better. I've gotten a really great following of adults and teens that come to their individual events. And it's just, when you're talking about food, people are more open, they're excited to share because it's something we all have in common. We all like to eat. So it's just been really fun to get to know the community in this way. So our cooking program, we have 6 stations. This was before COVID. Right now we're kind of doing more demo stuff, but we had 6 cooking stations for our patrons and for our chef to use. We usually keep it at 2 people per station. And then we have local chefs come in and they can either demo or they can teach how to make a dish from their restaurant or whatever they do. And when I say that, we had a home ec teacher come in and teach a healthy dish. And so she obviously just kind of pulled recipes from somewhere. It wasn't from a restaurant. We also recently had a demo outside with a vegan vegetarian chef, and he doesn't have a restaurant. He has a kind of meal delivery service sort of thing. And that was very exciting. And talking about things you don't expect to happen, we watched the neighbor cat attack something in the middle of that presentation. It was kind of awkward, but whatever, roll with the punches. Just added some flair. This one we have anywhere between 10 and 12 active participants, but we usually have a group of people watching in the gallery. And that is still, even though they're not like actively doing anything, it is a great time to build community because they can talk with each other, they talk with the people cooking, and they get to talk with the chef. So lots of fun times to make good interaction and good engagement. Everyone walks away with a recipe. They all get to talk to the chef. It's always a very fun time. So that's kind of the rough synopsis of my cooking program. And going forward, I will still be kind of talking about cooking, but know that all of these kind of tips and tricks of how I connect with people is easily transferable to any sort of program. So if you're not interested in cooking, this will work if you decide to do a program on chickens or, talking about your latest book. This is all transferable. So building community within the program. When people check in, that's not what I want to say, sorry. Always be prepared, that's what I would say. People, when I start a program, I want everything set up perfectly. So that way I am ready to greet people as they walk in, because that's really when the program starts, when your patrons come in. And you don't want to be distracted because you're still setting up. So I try really hard to make sure I have everything ready to go. So that way I can just already be actively involved in engaging the person as they come in. I tend to be an early bird, so I totally get the people who come in like 20, 30 minutes before the program starts and wants to find their seat. I totally get it. So I try to be there and ready to talk with them as much as I can. Obviously, life happens, things get busy. But I do try to do that because that's when the program really starts, when the patron shows up. Also, a good thing about having the stations ready is people don't realize how picky of a person you truly are when setting up. So you look really cool and collected, and you don't have to feel super awkward as you're like, no, that can't go there. And it also allows you the time to direct people where they need to be. For example, with the cooking program, like I said, I have some people who sit in the gallery and some people who are active participants. And I have a list, I know where people are going, and I can remind them where they need to go. Keep the conversation going. We, the librarians, are the best asset to our library and to any of our programs. We keep it engaging, we keep it fun, we keep everything kind of flowing. So as I said before, it starts when the patron comes, and we really need to take every opportunity to connect with every single person. Not only does it make them feel more involved with the program and connected to our library, it gives them a chance to also meet other people in the room. And that's what we really want. We want people to come and feel like they have friends. So I try really hard before the presentation. If there's any downtime in between, I'll walk around, talk with people. And then lastly, I try to make connections, whether it's a connection to a past or future presentation, a connection between patrons with similar interests. For instance, I have two fantastic ladies that come to every single one of my programs. They're wonderful people and they're super chatty. They're the best at a presentation because they're the ones like, oh yes, I do have questions. Sometimes they're a little off the wall questions, but they're questions nonetheless. But I love making connections with them because they're so friendly. It's easy. If I notice someone's like a little reserved or maybe a little shy, I'll be like, oh my gosh, you need to meet Linda. She is, the best craft person I have ever seen. And then she laughs and, tells me I'm lying. And, then we just have a nice, fun conversation. So it's always good to make that just because, like I said, everyone feels welcome. And then always a smart thing to do during any program is to connect any program with your collection. Whether it's bringing out the cookbooks for the cooking program, or, if you have a program on hobby farming, bringing out everything about farming. It's always just a good spot for people to, again, connect and talk about things that they have a similar interest in. Working with the restaurants. So these are kind of my communication methods and what I try to always incorporate when I do the ask. when working with any kind of restaurant, it's always good to have a game plan all set up. So this is what I typically do. In my opinion, the best is to always be able to just communicate with people in person. So I will try to go to the restaurant, or I will go to the business to try to talk with people. I have a couple reasons for doing this. One, I just think I'm more entertaining in person, and I feel like they won't say no. So that's my number one reason. But also, it's a good way to eyeball if they're busy or not, and if it might not be the best time to ask them something. If I walk into a restaurant and I can tell it's crowded, it is not the best time for me to be asking like, hey, would you like to take 15 minutes out of your day to talk to me? No, they're busy. So it's a good eyeball to kind of figure out if they have the time. If I notice that they don't have the time, or if it looks empty and the manager or business owner is just not there, I will talk briefly with the person, let them know what I'm here to do. Hi, my name's Maggie. I'm from the library. I just want to talk about an opportunity to do a program at our library. Is there a good time for me to come in? Should I call? Should I email? And they'll usually direct me to what's the best way to reach that business owner. Email is also another great option. It sometimes takes longer to get a response because not everyone checks their email. Like I personally check my email. It's on my watch. I get an email and I answer it. But I realize I'm kind of a crazy person when it comes to that. And not everyone has the luxury to check it every day. And sometimes it's just a weekly thing they do. But it's great. I like email because it keeps a document of everything I have said and what they have said. So I can go back and clarify like, oh, did I, misunderstand something? And I can go back and look at that email. So I do like it for that reason. A third option, and I've gotten a lot of really great results, Facebook Messenger. I message a lot of businesses this way to see if they would be interested in doing a program with me. I get the responses really quick. People just business owners tend to be on social media a little bit more than maybe email because they're advertising on it. They're posting pictures of things that are happening at their restaurant, or they just have hired someone to sit on it and to, catch any complaints, catch any negative publicity, or positive publicity that they want to promote more. So I tend to get quicker response with that. So don't feel weird. I sometimes feel weird reaching out like, hey, because I have to do it on my personal. But I have gotten a lot of really great feedback that way. And lastly, I'll do a phone call. This is beneficial if you haven't gotten any response and really you just want a yes or a no if they're interested. And just kind of the last one I prefer because I'm awkward on a telephone. So that is kind of the last thing I do. Yeah. So the ask. Move this over. When I do the ask, I try to have everything set up of what I want to say. And this is a lot easier like on email or messenger or even the phone because you can read off of a letter. And so, you've hit all your main points. But I try to have an idea in mind when I go in person to have this ask. I try to let them know of the number of people who have attended my programs in the past. If this is a new idea, I try to hype up how excited we are for it and why we think the community will be also very excited for this sort of program. I let the businesses know how the library can help them, whether it is because most likely I'm asking for a free service. I want them to come in and do this program for me. I let them know how I can benefit, how I'm promoting, how I'm using my social medias, how I'm using my website, how I'm reaching out to other websites to promote. For example, we live just 30 minutes south of Wichita, and Wichita has a lot of fun websites like Wichita on the Cheap and Wichita Mom's blog. And so we do a lot of promotions through them because we are reaching our audience that way. So I let them know how we promote and how typical our reach is if I can find those numbers. A lot of times on Facebook, if you go on your business page, you can see how big of a reach you're getting. And so I try to let them know of that. I also make sure I'm being very clear of what I'm asking for them, especially with the cooking programs, because it can seem like a lot that I'm asking. So I try to let them know that I already have grant money to help pay for the groceries. They don't have to provide any groceries. I'm really just asking for an hour or two of their time, and just trying to make it clear so that way they know how much they need to prepare or how big of a time involvement this sort of thing would be. Utilizing other community members, which I'm really sad I changed this title, because before I had it utilizing randos, and honestly I felt that was more true to the thing, but I changed it for utilizing other community members. So these are just other people I have connected with and done really fun programs with, because they were kind of the jewel that was hidden away and we brought them in. And some I haven't done, like the food trucks. I really want this to happen, but I have yet to find the food truck that's willing to do it. So food trucks, take a tour. How does one start a food truck business? Coffee shops are a great resources for programming. What's the best way to brew tea? Coffee tastings, beer, wine appreciation. During COVID, pandemic time, when we were doing a lot of online programming, I went to the local winery and I set up my tablet and my Wi-Fi hotspot, and we did a Zoom right there. And he kind of did a wine tasting for us, and we talked about the history of wine and wine appreciation. He also taught us how to make a wine slushy, which was very key to the whole event, in my opinion. But there's just lots of other ways you can incorporate different people into programming. Asking community members with special skills. Anyone in town have the new air fryer that they're like pro with? Bring them in. I'm in contact right now with someone who does her own canning. Is she a professional? No, I wouldn't advertise her as a professional, but if you're wanting to learn how to can, she's still a person you can go to and ask questions for. Folks with hobby farms, they're usually more than willing to come in and talk about the different ways you can, do hobby farming in your own backyard, whether it's chickens or vegetables or what have you. Mushroom farming, that's really kind of a popular thing right now. So I'm trying to find a mushroom farmer. Composting and other homesteading topics. There's lots of people in your community who do these things that you can bring in, and it'd still be a really great program. Not only do they feel connected to the library and appreciated for the skill that they have, but it also brings other people to the table who are like, oh my gosh, I do this. And then it's a whole conversation of the different ways they, grow vegetables or avoid pests or that sort of thing. And lastly, get techie with it. During COVID, obviously, we all had to kind of figure out different ways to do programming through technology. And we've had a lot of really fun things come out of it. You can go to the business and do a tour. We went to Gabby's Peruvian restaurant, and I interviewed her, and she talked about Peruvian cuisine, and we put it on YouTube and we posted it to our Facebook page. We also did a beekeeping one. That was really fun. I went with the guy to his hive, and he talked to me about all sorts of things beekeeping. And again, I put it in a video on YouTube and posted it to the internet. And then you can do live streams. Not only did we do it with the winery, but we had one of just our coworkers who's really good at grilling. We did one with him where he taught people how to grill different kinds of meats. So there's lots of fun ways where maybe it wouldn't make sense for them to come to the library, but you could go to them potentially and still share what they do. So there's lots of fun things you can add to your programming. And always after the event, send a thank you note. It's just a good way to kind of close it out and to, formally acknowledge like, hey, I appreciate that you took this time, especially if they do it for free for you, that they came to our library and taught our patrons something new. Acknowledge their efforts online, send a digital shout out. And if you can, tag them, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, however you choose to acknowledge them online. Try to take pictures and share it with them so that way they can use it to promote themselves for other things. And then continue the relationship. If possible, be a customer at their restaurant or go to their business and try to support them. Let them know of other ways that the library can use their help or be helpful to the business. I know that, for example, our coffee shop, we have a really— I'm having trouble hearing you. Sorry, my watch is talking to me. I know that with our coffee shop in town, we have a really great relationship, and they donate, right now they're donating a cold brew, but they donate coffee every Friday to our, story time. So the moms have something to, look forward to when the kids are all excited about, Victoria's stories. And we have utilized so many of our businesses for summer reading and our story walk promotions, where we do our story walk a little different. We put the story pages in our business windows, and then people walk around to each business. So it kind of gives them a shout out as well. Like, hey, your next story is at Little Dew Scoop. And of course, it's 100 degrees out. You should definitely go eat the ice cream at Little Dew Scoop. So there's just different things you can do to continue supporting, especially the businesses that constantly support us in our library adventures. And then, like I said, I'm sorry, I tend to talk fast. That's all I really have to say. If you have questions, feel free to ask them, or you can always email me at adult.probe@mulvanelibrary.org.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And there weren't any questions in the chat. So anybody have questions for Maggie? All right. Hearing none, seeing none. Got to thank you. Very good in the chat. So today we really got to see a lot of different pieces in this building community partnerships. We saw what Robin was talking about and looking at it large, from a large perspective, or the macro, and now getting down into the act of doing it with Maggie. So I think there's a lot of good things to think about today from today's workshop, and figure out how we can make those things work in our libraries. So thank you very much, Maggie. I appreciate it. Let's see. Yes, and Melanie was asking, I do have the PowerPoint presentations. They are on our website, and we will also be putting those with the recording, so that you will be able to find them on our front page of our website, Melanie, and anybody else interested. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Great workshop, and yeah, have a great rest of your day.